Hello and welcome back. Well, you would have seen the headlines, and we touched upon it with Will Guyatt, the flying taxis near takeoff as work has begun on a very port. This is in the UK. But there's kind of a competition. There's a kind of a race to get the first flying taxis up in the air. There was talk about them being used for the Paris Olympics. That's quietly gone away. But the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles are apparently, they're talking about using flying taxis to get athletes to and from stadiums, etc., etc. Dubai, Santa Cruz, Paris, the race is on. Who can get the first air taxis up and going? And then, of course, you need the infrastructure for it, which is where my next guest, who's based in the United States, where my next guest comes in, because he ain't just talking about it, he's actually involved in it. Joining me now is Cliff Cruz, who's the CEO of Skyway. So, Cliff, like everybody's talking about it, but what are you actually doing about it?
Well, thank you, Trish, for having me. Yeah, we're really focused on the infrastructure aspect of it. Advanced air mobility is this new sector of the aviation that is focused around sustainability. These aircraft are green. They're very sophisticated. They are like the Tesla, but with wings, right? So what comes with sophistication of these aircraft comes sophistication on the ground. And what you normally see at an airport, and when you go to an airport, those things are changing. These facilities are going to be the size of a Starbucks, if you will, and you'll go to these places and you'll take off and get into one of these aircraft. We are focused on building out a lot of these infrastructure pieces. They're a new type of place to go and fly across the country. And fly across within the region and within the city, and that's the whole point of this industry.
So where would you put these? I mean, where would this infrastructure, these Starbucks-sized little, I don't know what you call them, taxi ports or what have you, where would they be situated? Because I'm thinking could you be near an airport? You'd have to think carefully about where they go, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so as you see the market kind of take off, at least here in the States, in some parts in the UK, local small airports will most likely adopt this. But the vision is to build new facilities across the city. The idea between urban air mobility is to take those drives that would normally be between 40 and 80 miles and then fly there. For give you an example, London to Oxford, drive time right now is 2 hours. You could get there in 15 minutes. Portsmouth, Birmingham, you'd be there in 20 to 15 minutes.
Wow. But are they, now I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, there are many types. When we say air taxis, there's many types. Some will be driverless, some will be fixed wings, some will be, I'm just thinking, will there be one particular station for one particular type, or will there be lots of different companies?
Yeah, so right now the vertiport industry, and we are one of the very top, a few of the top people in this space. Vertiports are agnostic to any type of aircraft. So we really are just open to empowering the industry and all of these aircraft manufacturers to do business. There are about $8 billion invested into these aircraft alone. You have the likes of United Airlines, Delta, American Airlines, manufacturing from Airbus, Boeing, Embraer, all involved in this industry. So it's really coming. It's here to stay. There's a lot of capital involved in this entire thing. And the infrastructure is just taking off. Here at Skyway, we are doing vertiport networks, which are various vertiport destinations all across Florida, Texas, California, New York, and so on.
Wow. And I'm just trying to think, how do you regulate? Because I remember doing a story about Britain having a super highway for drones, for instance, and how they would be managed. Do they just all whiz about, or do you think there are going to be like flight corridors as there are for planes and drones and things like that?
Yeah, so it's going to be a mix. Right here in the States, of course, EASA has done an amazing job at pushing this forward in their regulatory environment for drone delivery. Obviously, if you're in certain parts of the country, you would be able to get those services. These are passenger and cargo. These are much larger aircraft. They're about the size of a passenger van with 4 people. From a regulatory standpoint, is much more higher, strict safety standards. These aircraft, have been in the works for over a decade with the FAA and various agencies across, the world to bring these out. So from an airspace perspective, at Skyway, one of our technologies and everything that we're doing is the air traffic control aspect of this entire industry. So in the future, as you see like the movies of Jetsons, and you pick your favorite movie where you see flying cars happening in the sky, that's eventually what is coming to this industry. We're building corridors that have about 6 lanes in the middle to and from. They'll be stacked on top of each other, and of course mixed with free flight to land and depart from various places. It's a very complex system, but the industry, including us here at the company, have made major strides in pushing this forward. We believe that we're here. We're anticipating the first network and flights happening in 26, all the way, with the full-fledged availability in 2030, where you're starting to see the pilotless aspect of these aircraft. Boeing has been very forefront in that. They went full head on the no pilot, but originally, or in the beginning, you'll see a lot of these have a pilot seat, to kind of take it off.
I was going to say who drove them, and so tell me, Cliff. Uber drivers are one thing. Will they be properly trained pilots, or will you be taking pilots will they come from airlines? Who will be these people driving these flying cars? I mean, do they have to go to college or special flying school or something like that?
He's here in the States. They have added another requirement on top of a current helicopter license to fly these. So if you do have a helicopter rotor license, you can. But the idea behind this is to remove the pilot eventually. What we're hearing from the OEMs is that these are going to be mass produced as much as commercial, cars, for instance. So we're talking about thousands of these aircraft in the sky above a city at a given time, which means the human has to be removed from this. So that's where the future's going into this industry.
I just get we talk about this with Will Guyatt, our tech expert. I get nervous when even driverless cars and what have you. So your company's already going ahead and doing this, and as I said before in the introduction, they're looking at using them for the Olympics in 2028 in LA to ferry people around. So there'll be, let me get this straight. So one of these will have like 4 people or what have you. They use what, lithium batteries, electricity? How are they powered, and is that power set a source part of your infrastructure?
That is correct. They are fully electric, using the same technologies as cars today. They have done a lot of work on the propulsion aspect of it, meaning the propellers themselves. So these will be very quiet. They're the sound of your dishwasher, per se. So, the sound was a very big aspect of this industry, making sure that it was there. But it is a 4-passenger aircraft. Roughly, some of these have 6 passengers. And from the LA side of things, yes, it will be, they're moving towards trying to get this for the Olympics. But, here at Skyway and the company and the rest of the industry, we're really focused on rolling out a network of destinations as a commercial aspect of this, 6+ locations per city to start with. So that way we can have destinations for people to go to. The idea is to fly to work, right? To fly to the beach, to fly to shopping. And that's the whole point of this, is to really just levitate you out of your car and into the sky.
Oh my goodness. And so would they charge up at your facilities? Obviously, like aircraft refuel at airports, you'd have to have what, charging stations, I'm guessing, at your facilities.
That is correct. We are partnered with Siemens, and we are working on the charging infrastructure for these aircraft. They're connected into our system. We have innovated working with the local power companies here in the States on how we, make sure that we don't impede on the current demands, and how do we, add energy to this aspect. And what we're going to see is certain facilities within a region that have the charging network established and a distributed network that's a much lower one around. So that way we don't run into the problems that the car industry had when trying to roll out various chargers across the country.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't refuel your taxi here. It's got a different nozzle.
Exactly.
We've got an electric car, or it's not working. Somebody's broken it. So this is actually happening. You're actually building these places now?
Yes, we're currently in contract with various developers to build these. We're in the stages of the planning of the land. We've already scouted various locations, and we're in the preliminary construction phase of these. Obviously, it's going to take time, but we are working with the states, the local counties. They have been very excited about this. There is absolutely no friction, even from the Fed, from NASA. It's just a beautiful area to do business right now, because everybody's embracing it here in the States, and including the UK.
Yeah, and we've got a message here. Let me just have a flying taxis. Flying taxis in the UK, really? Considering that our infrastructures are not in good shape, I did rather give flying taxi a miss. Why? We can't even sort out the trains or the smart highways, which have caused accidents. In theory, it sounds great, but is it worth the risk? Everyone's a little bit scared of anything new, but I really thank you for giving us your time and talking about something that, as you say, once upon a time, the Jetsons were only cartoons. Now it's becoming a reality. Cliff Cruz, CEO of Skyway, building the infrastructure of getting ready for flying taxis in the United States. Thank you so much for joining us today.